Alrighty. Good morning, and sorry for the delay in our getting started this morning. On behalf of the entire Door County Scotty Rally, I want to welcome you to this morning's presentation. It's a little bit of an out there topic for most of us that have not been breeding, etc., or have bred for a long time, but it's such an important topic. So uh, I I had the opportunity to meet Janet Tomlinson, oh, I don't know, about 5 or 7 years ago, at an STCA meeting. I think it was the national specialty, and I was impressed with what she was doing. And honestly, I didn't quite understand what it was all about. But flash forward a few years, I have learned a lot more about what a pedigree database is all about and why it's important for us to get our dogs on that database. And Janet's going to explain quite a few different aspects today. And if you don't quite understand, please just go ahead and put your question in the chat session, and I will make sure that Janet sees that, and we may have her address that at the time or towards the end. It just kind of depends on how things go here. So, for those of you who have not heard my voice before, I'm Michelle Geiger-Bronsky. I'm this crazy woman that had this idea to start the Door County Scotty Rally after holding a gathering of people 25 years ago. And it gives me great joy actually every day, anytime I have the opportunity to do anything for our breed. And I know I've hooked a number of you in along that route and that journey. And Janet and her presentation today, I think, will expand your understanding of our breed, and not only our breed for the Scottish Terrier breed, but really for any dog owner. If we know where our dogs come from on any level, the possibilities are endless in terms of the impact of what a database can do, regardless of the breed. So I am going to turn things over to Janet Tomlinson. Janet has a fascinating background. We had a chance to chat earlier this week. And what I will just say to you is this is a woman who is very dedicated to pedigree databases, again, regardless of the breed, but particularly to the Scottish Terrier breed. And I'm grateful to you, Janet, for giving your time up for us this week and helping to make this understandable. For those of you that have been on ZOOMIES in the past, you know that we record these sessions. The session will be up on our website probably by I'm going to say by Monday at the latest. So just sit tight, and I'm going to turn things over to Janet, who is not only a breed historian, but just a real huge advocate for pedigree dog bases. So I'm going to go ahead and let you take it away, Janet. And thank you.
Thank you. What a beautiful introduction. Hi, Janet Tomlinson here. Um, as Michelle mentioned, I do happen to be a breed historian for the Scottish Terrier, and I've created a pedigree database with over 129,000 Scottish Terriers in it. Today, we're going to discuss the reasons for wanting a database, especially breed clubs to be able to share with pet owners and to help their breeder members to maintain breed standards. I've created a PowerPoint presentation. You're seeing the first slide here. And I've also got some other views, so I don't want you to think you're missing anything when my screen changes. And I'm going to do an example now. I'm going to come out so you would see this, and then I might go to my database to show you something, or I might go to AKC stud books for examples there. And we can ask questions as we go along. When my presentation is up, I can't see if there's a question. So Michelle will interrupt me and let me know what the question is, and we can answer it, or we can wait until the end, whatever makes things better for you. But as far as this presentation, there's so many things to cover. I don't want to be boring, and try and teach you how to use it, but I will show you some tricks right now as we go along. But first off, also know if I get through a slide too fast and you can't read it, as Michelle mentioned, it will be up on her website and you'll be able to read it at your leisure later. So for pet owners to be able to view their breed on a website and read your articles is one thing, but to be able to see a pedigree is quite another. The inner excitement of this can help move all dog owners to become involved and more excited than just purchasing a puppy. Um, I remember my first time when I bought a golden retriever and it had all these champions. Oh, I couldn't get over myself for owning a dog like that. Um, but for breeders, it's an essential tool to see colors via photos, COI, which I'll explain what that is later, and much more depending on the data collected and the availability to the members only section on club breed sites. And of course, trial breedings. But the number one reason for a pedigree in my mind is for the health of your breed. And following are two examples of a pedigree of the same dog. One is showing the champions, and one is in pink showing repeated ancestors. So this happens to be one of my bitches, and you can see all the red dogs are champions. And this particular pedigree is the same exact pedigree, except for in my dataware, I've chosen repeated ancestors. So you'll see there's two in pink that are repeated. Now that's important information for breeders. And then understanding the significance and benefits of a pedigree database. Pedigree databases for dogs hold immense importance for various reasons. This comprehensive system serves as a crucial tool for dog breeders, veterinarians, pet owners, researchers, and ensuring the well-being and optimal management of canines. I've been approached by doctors who are doing research on different things in our particular breed, Fancy, the Scotty, such as bladder cancer, liver problems, etc. And they like to use my database because I've entered all the dogs from 1886 through to 1939. Then there's scattered from 39 to 60. But from 1990 to current, I have all the Scotties that have been bred entered. So this is a huge tool for them. And I feel that anything that can help the breed, like Michelle does, is that's my main goal. So preservation of breed standards. Every breed club has a breed standard for their particular breed. And in the United States, those breed standards are set and approved by AKC or another entity, UKC, but 99% AKC. And breeders strive to preserve those breed standards, such as, appearance, temperament, behavior. And with the pedigree database, you can choose those things. You can see them once you start studying your own breed line. A pedigree database contains detailed information about the lineage. There are so many things you can track. You can add as many items as you like, health-wise, for instance, and track all of those health items, which our health trust does with the database that I created for them. So when you get a form that asks you to fill out DNA and genetic screening and things like that, and you send it in, all of that information and the health on your dog is entered in that database, which is again helping with the researchers. So another significant advantage of it is the contribution to the health management of the dogs. The genetic disorders and hereditary diseases are common concerns in dog breeding. And if dog breeders can see past the intelligence I've discovered is that they want to hide everything genetic that's an issue, like liver shunt, or if all their dogs have come down with CMO or CA, or they want to hide it. They don't want other people to know because they're afraid that no one will buy any of their dogs. But what is happening is, with the genetic history, there's now a good record of these things, and it's getting larger every day from the collection of pedigree database information. And I should start out, I should have put in there, first off, you cannot hide database information. It's not, you're not able to, let me put it this way, it's public information: date of birth, name of the dog, the breeder, the color of the dog. Those are public items that can't be, I can't think of the word right now, I'm sorry. When you want to help me out here, Michelle, when you have a book and copyright, you cannot copyright that information. So if you have a pedigree database and you've put in all these dogs and you get a call saying, I want you to take my dog out of there, I don't want that information shown there, you can, out of a courtesy to them, take it out, or you have the right to leave it there because it is public information. But on the health side, that is not public information. And so health databases are kept for security reasons and for overall privacy reasons in a different area that are just available usually to members, and only if they have signed releases for the information to be presented online. Otherwise, it's there for use for the breed, but only for researchers behind the scenes. So enhancing breed programs, a pedigree database for dogs, it's an essential tool that offers numerous benefits for breeders, veterinarians, researchers, and dog owners, as I mentioned. It's important to maintain accurate information. AKC provides a stud book and a title report monthly to all breed clubs. And then the breed club determines who's going to get that. I get those as the chairperson for the pedigree database, and I share them out with tally team members and people like that. But there's a way with a pedigree database, as long as all the columns are titled the same and line up in the same order, where you can import that document right into the pedigree database if you're using BreedMate, which I happen to use. So for being accurate, it's so important, and that's why I do the database myself, so that I know everything that's going into it is accurate, and I double check everything. I don't take information out of, say, a Bagpiper magazine because there could be errors, or off of InfoDog where somebody's entering their own information. And so again, accuracy is the most important thing. Moreover, database enables breeders to monitor the outcome of their breeding program over time. They can assess the success of previous breeding decisions and make necessary adjustments to the enhancement and quality of future generations. Facilitating research and education, we've copied a lot of or covered a lot of that. I feel that people should really know how important DNA is and submit their DNA. But a pedigree database serves as a valuable resource again, and researchers will use this and uncover new insights into canine genetics and develop strategies for managing genetic diseases. Um, Educational programs and workshops can leverage the database to teach the best practices in dog breeding. So, supporting dog owners. For dog owners, a pedigree database provides peace of mind and a deeper connection with their pets. By accessing their dog's pedigree information, owners can learn about their pet's ancestry, breed characteristics, potential health risks. This knowledge enables them to provide better care for their dogs and make informed decisions regarding their health and well being. And additionally, pedigree information can be a source of pride and fulfillment for dog owners who participate in shows and competitions. They'll see their dog's titles there. A well documented pedigree also enhances the dog's credibility and reputation, increasing its chances of success in competitive events. It also allows owners to celebrate the rich heritage and achievements of their pets. But what is the difference between a pedigree dog and a mixed breed dog? They all have pedigrees, and you just may not see a pedigree for a mixed breed dog. But what is the difference between a pedigree dog and a mixed breed? And why are pedigree dogs more expensive? A pedigree dog is a purebred dog that is registered with the Kennel Club. One can see the pedigree dog's family history. Seeing a pedigree dog's family history is important to ensure there are no behavioral problems or health problems in your dog's lineage. Seeing a pedigree dog's family history can also help you to ensure you have a purebred dog. Pedigree dogs are selectively chosen to continue breeding based on temperament and health. Therefore, they typically make better service dogs, guard dogs, etc. I was talking with one breeder and they told me, well, and they happen to have Scotties, they watch their litters for excessive breeders and they may not breed everybody in that litter. They may only choose one or none from that litter. If they're all excessive barkers, they won't use any of them because they're breeding for more of a quiet Scotty that only barks when is necessary. And as with all breeders, by looking at their pedigrees, they'll have a litter, and out of that litter may only be two dogs they want to keep, and they'll sell the rest as pets. That doesn't mean that the pets are less than the ones they kept. And that's why pet owners are so important, and trying to get them involved in the club is important. Um, a breed club will maintain stud books, as I mentioned. I get them from AKC, and these go on where some clubs don't even allow the puppies to get registered unless they have a DNA certification, and they keep records of the DNA. Um, I feel like I should take a little break here and ask, are there any questions so far?
Actually, Janet, I've got a couple people who can't get online, but they're going to send me their questions and then I'm going to ask them of you later. But I do have a question for you. So, when you talked about the point that you were just making about the DNA certification, can you clarify? for us one more time what that is and how do people get that?
Oh, well, DNA is easily gotten with a swab in the cheek, and then the swab is like a Q-tip, and it's put in a sealed package, which comes with the kit. And Michelle, don't you send the kits out? Do you want to take over there for a minute?
Actually, those kits, so the DNA bank the DNA bank project that the Health Trust is doing is different than what I think you're talking about. Because for one thing, we don't do cheek swabs, we do a blood sample. And then
Okay.
they extract the DNA from that, and then that's what gets banked. Um, so
Well, AKC has DNA kits that you can request, and they keep a record of DNA. I can give you an example here, which will come up again later in the presentation. But there was a breeder, and this can happen, had two litters in the same week. And at some point when they were a few weeks old, she let them play together, and their colored collars were torn. And so she had two males, one from each litter, and they were identical color, brindle. And so when she put them back in their whelping area with their respective dams, she mixed them up and put them with the wrong dam. She later sold one of the brindle boys that went to Australia. They are moving back to the United States and they want to bring their dog with them. So they check with AKC because importing a dog into the States, et cetera, excuse me, AKC informed them that the parents they listed were not the parents of their dog because of the DNA. So they were able to get the pedigree straightened out in my database, and ergo, they can come in the country, no problem. But this is a perfect example why DNA is important, because this was an actual mistake, never would happen again, and not done on purpose. But there are unethical breeders out there who will get a championship on one male and then say all the puppies thereafter for however many generations are out of that one male, when that may not be the case. But now it's very hard to hide because of DNA. Does that help?
yes, Janet, thank you. So um, clarify this for me then. So are you saying that that is like who initiates that piece of it, of the AKC getting access to that DNA?
Oh, well, I don't have the answer to that. I would imagine each breed club contacts AKC, or as an owner of a dog, you can contact AKC. You can go to akc.org, and that's ORG. And AKC has a wonderful website. And if you put a DNA in the search, I'm sure it'll take you right there to how to request a DNA kit as a private puppy owner, pet owner, agility person, anybody can order a DNA kit from them. You can also contact your local breed club if you do have a specific breed, and that breed club should be able to help you also with DNA
Great, thank
packages,
you.
to get your dog tested. So, because the breeding, as it mentions here, dog breeding communities can work together for the betterment of the canine population and safeguard the health and integrity of their breed with DNA and pedigree databases that collect all the information. So there's tips and tricks on how to get better interaction with your regional club members. And the one thing I find is breed clubs must be better and love your pet owners and get them involved. And AKC is one parent club, the master club, but all these individual breed clubs, there's a lot of breed clubs over the years, ours included, that have insisted that when they sell a dog, that that person show that dog or that person breed that dog and give them a puppy back and all these things. And there are so many ways today that have changed away from that. And you've got to love your pet owners. Pet owners are the majority, and there's so many things that they can get involved with. For instance, a pet owner, because once a breeder, always a breeder, and I am a historian, but I now classify myself as a pet owner. And here I am. I've created the world's largest pedigree database on the Scotty. So pet owners are important and they can do so much work behind the scenes. And there's lots of ways to get them involved, um, and reach out to them. So you have to work with your breeders, which again you can get the breeders from your pedigree database and from your breed clubs, and ask them to get the pet owners to get more involved, working with the club, going to picnics, doing things, agility, obedience. That's where STCA is really spread out. And add a pedigree database to your website. That's the most important. Then the next thing is, it took me over almost 10 years to get photos approved for the pedigree database. I finally achieved that. And now, if I can slip out of here for a second, don't think I've lost you. And I can go to my database. Now I've lost my train of thought. I was going to show you, oh, pedigrees. Here we go. Here you can see an empty pedigree. Click back to the database. I'm going to click on this dog, and here you can see a pedigree for this dog. But this is my database. So if I were to go to Google, oh, come on, Google, open up, and I go, oh, I don't know how to, and then I go to the stca.biz. This is the breed site for the Scottish Terrier Club of America. I can go down here to pedigrees, and this screen is what you'll see. And I can use the name, or I can use the registration or several other things to search by. And for instance, in here, I'm just going to type Lloyd. And all the Lloyd winners will show up, because in the pedigree database, I've put Lloyd winner information under registration as well as all the registration information. So this is, again, another valuable tool to see what dogs were bred that were good enough to achieve the Lloyd Trophy. And each individual dog club can do that with their pedigree database. I'm now going back to the presentation. And so another thing you could do, although this is a massive job, you can collect any information you want in the pedigree database. So for every quarter, there's a foundation called the OFA organization, and it collects canine health. And under the OFA is an item called the Chick Foundation. And the Chick Foundation is a foundation which has various tests for each breed that are prevalent in that breed to be a problem, not necessarily, but they need to pass that test in order to get their chick number. And there may be 5 tests under each breed or a particular breed in order to get that chick number. And within the pedigree database, you can program the pedigree database to show the chick number. So when you go to your club's website, like I just showed you, you can click on a dog and you can click on the chick number and it'll take you right to the foundation, and you can research the health of that dog. And do you want to buy a dog out of that dog? Because it may have so many problems, you want to go to another line. Or if you're a breeder and you're thinking of outcrossing out of the family that you're using to breed in, you can look at that, and it's really important information. Now I say family because just looking at Scotties, we started with 2 families back in the 1800s, and today we have like 36 different families plus. But nobody uses families per se for breeding anymore like they did in the 30s and 40s. They usually use the dog that's next door and closest to them and easiest. But we're learning by the use of the pedigree database and the DNA and the Chick Foundation and all the other information that we're collecting that we need to start spreading our breeding program out to other families of Scotties. My mentor told me she would never breed to a specific line. Well, it wasn't that that line was bad. It was that she didn't want that breeder's blood in her line, to keep the 2 lines of Scotties clean in case down the road they found something wrong with one of them.
Not,
So that's something to keep in mind.
they're not.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Janet. Go ahead.
Oh, so another really important reason for a pedigree database is to run COI. Now, I go on here to explain what COI is, and I've done some, typed in some links and whatnot for you to look at, but I can give you an example here. I'm going to go to my database and I'm going to put in Arrow Hill and go to my dog, Willow. And Willow. Okay, we're at Willow. And I'm going to go, you don't see this at the website, but this is the master pedigree database that I've created that I upload to their website for them to present. And in here, you'll see I collect the name, the color, the sire, the dam, the stud book that the dog was bred, what year they were bred, where I got the information from, who put the information in. I put myself because I'm the only one at the moment, but their titles, whether they're an ROM, their call name, and then their photo. And I identify the photo by using their registration number, sometimes their name. But here you'll see a little programming that puts in the chick number that we talked about and takes you to the Chick Foundation, and her DNA number I collect. I collect all kinds of information, and microchipping is one of the things that I collect. So if you have a pedigree database and you are a breed club, one of the things you could do, although it might be too extensive if you can't, have the workforce, but this is again where pet members could step in and help. You can collect microchip numbers. And then if one of your members loses one of their dogs, or someone has absconded with somebody's dog, or they've just had a problem, or a vet gets a dog in and wants to go look up its number, it can go to that breed club and check on the microchip number to make sure that that owner really owns the dog. And so it can be used for a lot of purposes that way. But again, it is a big undertaking to use it as a public entity. And there are breeders who mistakenly think that it's like a social security number. It is not. And it's actually printed on all AKC pedigrees today. But again, it's a valuable tool that can be used. And let me make this larger so you can, oops, I'm sorry, wrong button. There we go. Oh, look what I've done. I started at the beginning. You just have to have patience with me. I'm making you dizzy, aren't I? Going back and forth. Let me go down here. Okay, so pedigrees have been in existence since really before the 1880s, but the early 1880s is when the records start, and AKC starts in 1887. And I'm fortunate in that I own every AKC stud book from 1887 up to 1990. And it's really interesting, the stud books. I'm going to take you here. This is a stud book page from 1926. And how to read a pedigree, it's really fun here. Abertay Don Newfield is the name. D stands for dog. In the dog below, B stands for bitch. Going back up, you see the registration number next. The next name will always be the owner. The next name will always be the breeder. And you see this breeder is from England. Then you have the date of birth, the color, and then you have the sire and the dam. The first information after the dam is always about the dam. So when you're putting this pedigree into the database, you type the dam in, and then you can create the dam's pedigree by typing Abertay Harry as the sire and Abertay Dorothy as the dam. Then you can continue and put in Dorothy's sire and dam, Abertay Beauty. Then it'll jump to the sire of the on the dam side and give that information. And he's out of Abertay Sport and Abertay Netta. So then you're like, well, what about the sire? Well, the sire's information will come last. So when you're up at the top here and you see Brindle by Abertay Sport and you want to put in the sire's pedigree, you go to the end of this pedigree and look for Abertay Sport's name. There it is, it's close to the bottom. And then you see Alburn Beetle and Abertay Luna are that dog's parents. So that's a 1926 pedigree. Then you get to a 1946 pedigree. And you'll see there, maybe I can enlarge this for you. You'll see they're a little different. Get to Scotty's. Here, you've just got the name of the dog, the sex, the registration number, the color. What you don't see here is the breeder and owner. They didn't put them in the 40s. And till you get to the end of this, then it has Gretchen Mullen and LCK Herf. So you have to know that the first name is the owner and the second name is the breeder, and it's at the end of the pedigree, not at the beginning. And this particular pedigree doesn't give more history as far as who the parents were, because they were more caught up. Then you get to one today, and this is how it's done today. It goes across the name of the dog, then the sire, the dam with their information, and then the owner and breeder. So it doesn't, and it used to give the owner and breeder's address, it no longer gives the addresses for privacy matters. And in the pedigree database, you can use the pedigree database and you can collect all that information, but it remains secret because you can go view lookups and it takes you to a secret place where you could collect all that information. I do not collect it here, but it is collected in the health trust pedigree databases that I create. I just created one for the Basset Fauve, which is a brand new breed recognized by AKC. So there's interesting nuances with the pedigree database. I've put over the years hundreds of statistics together, which you'll see in the yearbooks, and I'm sure other breed clubs do that as well, that are collected from the database, because I can do a search by any column, and here's a search by color. So now I can go over here and pick this number and go down to this number and see, oh, there's 20 black dogs. Or I can go all the way to the beginning and I can let you know how many black dogs there were. Or conversely, how many dogs were born in April 1987. And there's all the dogs born and the date. You know, I can see, oh, look how many were born on the 6th of April, quite a few. So there's lots of different ways to use a pedigree database. One of the most interesting things for me was when I was approached where Wally, it's a Scotty, where the breeder, he was the owner's, the owner's best man at his wedding. He would do anything for this dog. And Wally came down with lymphoma. Well, it was on Facebook. He was looking for a bone marrow donor. And what happened is a lady who heads up the Golden Gate Rescue saw his post and she contacted me and asked me if I could help find a bone marrow donor. Well, with her input and the owner and myself, 4 donors were found. And lo and behold, the best match happened to be owned by the head of the Golden Gate Rescue. What are the odds, right? Well, they flew to Washington. There's 2 places in the United States. I know I'm digressing a bit here, but there's one in North Carolina and there's one in the state of Washington. And Wally happened to be in the state of Washington, so they flew her dog from California up there, and they give Wally something that removes all the white blood cells, and then they take the blood from the donor dog and put it into Wally, and then Wally remained in a glass room sterile for a week because he had nothing to fight against diseases and whatnot. And today, as of, I believe it was January, but I'll put it to February, Wally, and this started in November last year. By February, Wally was lymphoma free. And all because of DNA, being able to test the dogs and show they were related and get him a good donor. So imagine going forward what we can do with a pedigree database and a good collection of DNA. Now, I went to my database to show you COI, and I never did that. So I'm going to skip out of here and go there for a second and put in Arrow Hill. And this is case sensitive, so I had to get in the right column here. Sorry. I think I'd know after all these years of doing this where I have to be. Okay. I'm going to show you over here. You're going to see is somewhere here. COI, a COI column. There. Now, well, I'm on Bonnie Blue, I'm sorry, but Bonnie Blue has a 1%. That's a very early bred dog. If we go back, I'm sure we're going to see Bonnie Blue. Oh, 2002. That's interesting. So normally a Scotty will have a much higher COI rate because we are very, very inbred and tight at this point. But you can look up COI, the inbreeding coefficient, is an algorithm that was created by Wright. And you can read up on it in at Google. And I really implore you to do that. But I've put some links here and a light explanation of what COI is. But I was also told that a zoo will not breed an animal with a COI of less than 8%. So if you're looking at your pedigree database, I really have to show you this. Here, I want to use my own dog so that I'm not, upsetting anybody here. Okay, so I can go up here to genetics and I can calculate inbreeding for this particular dog and all its relatives here and its sire and dam, and it has a much higher percentage, but I'm only doing 6 generations. So if I wanted to calculate a trial breeding, it would show me that, oh, I can go ahead and breed this dog because if I did, it would only be 26%, for instance. But you can calculate all that using the pedigree database. So that is an extremely important tool for breeders. And so you've got health is number 1. You've got trial breedings is number 2. You've got COI for number 3, although I would use that as number 1 for breeders. And then the gene ratio. If you have 2 parents and each parent has a gene for CA, the puppies are going to come out with CA. But if you have a stud dog with a CA gene and you only use dams that do not have a CA gene, you won't get puppies with CA. And that again goes back to why you don't cross over into certain lines within your breed so that you don't get that. But with DNA and genetic research, we have almost wiped it out by breeders being aware of this process and not using dogs with CA, and by responsible breeders who have said, oh, okay, I had a litter with CA and it was this dog. Let's not use these 2 together ever again. And they let everybody know. And that is the hardest thing, is communication from breeders sharing data. But a pedigree database goes a long way to helping with that. Then can it help a crossbred dog? Are, for instance, they healthier than a pedigree dog? The answer is no, absolutely not healthier. And I see on this on this slide that I have 2 typos, and I'm one of those people, I have to fix it immediately if I see it, so please bear with. Okay, there we go, fixed. And so if you're a reputable breeder and you've got good pedigrees in a pedigree database and you can produce a pedigree for your buyer, you can really help everybody, because the pet owner doesn't want to buy a pet and then a year later find out it's got some horrible disease that you could have avoided for instance, I have two Westies and a Scotty at the moment. My 13-year-old Scotty went 100% blind at 3 years old. Not Scotty, I'm sorry. Gosh, forgive me. My 13-year-old Westie went blind at 3 years old because she walked into the pool twice after we got her out right away. We knew she couldn't see where she was going. Since then, we've never had a pool without childproof fencing around it. But we immediately took her to the eye doctor, and the eye doctor was able to give her new lens, and she could see the same day. And 13 years later, from this happened when she was 3, she's still chasing squirrels. But regarding pedigree databases, when I took her to the vet, when I found out she was blind, the vet was screaming, jumping all over the office. You better contact that breeder. They never should have done this breeding. Can't they look at a pedigree and tell? And yes, they could have had they checked. Well, I found out down the road it was a lady who ran a rescue as well, and she'd bred 2 rescues together because she was surviving off of that. So, anyways, there's lots of different reasons to have a pedigree database. And in Scotty's, we have a disease called the von Willebrand's disease. Well, this disease is really under control because we have a simple DNA test. It's sort of like that eye test in Westies. And again, the OFA and the Chick Foundation will tell you if there's an eye issue in Scotty's as well. So Scotty cramp is another one. Unfortunately, there's no DNA test available, and but they're working on that. And it's been dramatically decreased in litters where breeders carefully research and avoid pedigrees with a prior history of it. So again, pedigree database for health. Now, the same with CA. I just went through how that's been being able to be avoided. And CMO is a terrible thing. And there is a DNA test now for affected carriers. So that's a good thing. And again, that can be shown in the Health Trust pedigree database when they get it online and members can go and see different things. That'll certainly help the breed. And again, liver shunt. But again, these slides I'm skipping over have a lot of information that I'm not putting out there that you can go and read once it's presented at the website. And again, the COI, you can go to stca.biz and look that up. Now, objectives. I've talked a lot about objectives already, the trial breeding, the chick, the COI. But if you have any questions at all about anything, you can contact me. Here's my email address. I don't feel like you're ever bothering me. I'm here to help. And I can help with the pedigree database as well if you determine that your club wants to use BreedMate. There's information in this slide program on BreedMate, and I 100% recommend them. It is such a powerful tool. The support is amazing. I'm telling you here a bit about BreedMate. I don't want this to be a sales pitch for BreedMate, but I can tell you it is so powerful, so easy to use, because it's a lot like Excel, and I think most of us have had to use Excel and come over the simple challenges of that. There are some tips that I've put in here as well for the pedigree database. Let me get out to the database. You may wonder why I use, I'm going to try and find that dog in the beginning. Oh, here. You may wonder why I use square brackets. They really like square brackets, and I should change this one. there's not too many errors in this database, but again, when I see it, I have to fix it. Um, it doesn't like round brackets in a search. It'll use round brackets for an error. But I put UK after dogs where I know the breeder is from the UK. And you'll see when you're on your breed club site, in the 20s and 30s, the UK, which had a lot of our different breeds that are in the States today, because of the war, they were told to put their dogs down. And a lot of the breeders with foresight took their very, very best and shipped them overseas to the United States. Back then, pedigrees were handwritten, and pedigrees couldn't be read a lot by people. The handwriting, I was born in England. My parents were. I had trouble reading my parents' handwriting. It's a little different. So there were a lot of errors in the pedigree database because people couldn't read. But with this database software, which is another reason I push it, you have something called DataDoc, and you have options, and you can search for illegal spaces, dogs born before their parents, self-parenting, which is a really easy error when you're putting in a pedigree. You may type the dog's name again in the dam column by mistake. That's called a self-parenting, when the dam is the same dog that you're entering. Gender, case sensitive, most important, duplicate registrations. So if you get a dog that you put in 1926, you know that is, and it's the first time you put it in, you know that's the most correct pedigree. But you come along to the 30s and you get the same registration, because it'll come up in DataDoc when you run it until you've got two dogs there. Then you know you can join those two dogs easily and put them together, which you can print any of these manuals, and these manuals are, they're the best manuals ever written for something. And I used to write the manual for Northeastern International Airlines. So I know a good manual, and I'm saying this has good manuals which describe how to do everything in this software. Even for a pet owner, this is a great tool to try and just play around with your own Scotties, your own records, your own show records. It can do all kinds of things for you. But when you get into seeing something that says the late Mervyn romance, well, what does that mean? What that means, well, let me use another one with a different breeder, maybe. Here. Okay. This particular breeder, I cannot really pronounce her last name properly. Her last name was Widgick, and then she was also known as Scrays Dickens. She passed, and all of her dogs were left to the Alborn Kennel. The Alborn Kennel renamed the dog. The dog, when it was with the late Mrs. Rory Scrays Dickens, was called Melody of Docken. When she passed, Alborn took the Alborn Kennel took the dog in and renamed it Alborn Annie Laurie. So now you know what that means when you see late after it. Now, also, there could be several Annies and Alborn Annies. And so a lot of times will put the date of the year of birth. You'll see here 38, we come across 1938. I'll put the year after the dog, so that when I'm entering a dog and I get a dog named Alborn Annie Laurie, and a lot of times you'll get 5 dogs with the same name. If I put the date of birth after the dog, then I don't have an issue with self-parenting the next time I go to put in a dog with that name. So that's another really good tip. It took me a lot of years to figure that one out. And I go on a little bit more about BreedMate, but if you go to breedmate.com, again, their website is great. You can read about everything there. Now, if you're a breed club, the one thing I can tell you is it's important that you respond to your members as soon as possible. That's another place a pet member can come in as a valuable worker to help answer those emails. Um, and you need a good web manager. We have a wonderful web manager who's worked for us for years, a wonderful man giving up all his hours. Uh, I can't thank him enough, Bob Gann. And then changing your perceptives around requests from membership and pet owners. I think if I had a way to have our club change its membership requirements, I definitely would do that. This is no longer the 20s and 30s. When you go to an AKC stud book today, you saw I had one page, and it wasn't even a full page. It was only half a page. And some months I only have maybe 15 or 20 studs that or excuse me, studs and dams that are used and bred in a month. You go back to the 30s, I've got every month hundreds and hundreds of Scotties being bred that I get to input. So today we have to change our ways, and we can do that with a pedigree database for our membership by having pet owners do a lot of the work and getting them involved, and having them come and be cherished at dog shows as well, and different things like picnics and whatnot I've mentioned in the past. So I put an example here, which people can look at, but you've seen because I've gone back and forth. And then there's a million searches you can do, which I've also showed you, just a couple. And then the duplicate registration I've mentioned. And export tools. Oh, I should show you this. This is so powerful, this database. I want to export. I can do a search, which I do for health, the Health Trust all the time. They want to search for only the dogs that have had tooth issues, for instance. Okay, so I can go to that column, search by that column. Then I can export that data into a Word document. I can cut and paste it into a Word document. I can create a PDF. But for the whole database itself, I can import. AKC stud books come in two formats. They come in a PDF and a CSV file. I can import a CSV file. Now, I hand type every one, because if you go and you look here at my owners, they're all in alphabetical order. AKC does it the opposite way. They put Mrs. EB first, then Treadway. So I can't import them. But if I'd known that in the beginning, I never would have put these like a librarian, But going back, you have all kinds of ways to import and export. You can export data out to an Excel file. You have your dogs in an Excel file now. You can import them into the database. And again, the manual shows you how to do that. But there's another bit of software. The database is my database. I did sell a copy to STCA for $1 about 10 years ago, and it had 15,000 dogs in it. I never will take the database away from STCA, the parent club, because I'm all about the breed. Even if I get in a snit, and mind you, I'm human and I've been in many snits. but you don't see my database disappearing. And so you have to make sure, as breed clubs out there, that you have the proper paperwork in place, that you own your own database, and that you allow these people to work on it as workers, and that you own the data. Because I've also learned in life there aren't, and my halo is showing here, but there aren't too many people like myself, and they get in a snit and boom, there goes your database. In fact, that's how I started this database, because I always want to help the breed. I'm about breed and not politics. So, this is a lot of repetitive stuff. If I keep talking, I don't want to bore you and get it where you're like, oh, I've got to go outside and play. But there's a lot of information here. I've already been over Wally. I think I've gone over DNA and AKC. And for pet owners, I implore you to look up your breed club online and see what you can volunteer for. You don't have to be a breeder. You don't have to be a shower. In the past, it definitely was. Breed clubs were for breeders, but today they're about everything. They're about obedience and agility and lure coursing and rally and everything, as well as breeding. Um, and there's, like I've mentioned many times, many behind the scene jobs. And then, in conclusion, the main reason for a pedigree database is to ensure ethical breeding practices and the welfare and integrity of the breeding community. And there are many, many people out there who have pedigrees on paper that are going to get thrown out by some relative. So start your pedigree database now. Contact AKC, see if they'll let you get the first or the last 9 years of pedigrees, because they do present those online. You do have to pay for some of it. Your breed club, being a breed club, may be able to talk AKC into helping you start your database by giving you that information. And because they want your breed to continue too. And it's that important to have one. Again, the last slide shows you I live in an area where the internet is shaky sometimes, and I only get one bar. So we have a landline, and you can text me. I like texts over phone calls on my cell phone, and of course, my email. And don't hesitate to contact me with anything. Okay, I think I have completed my presentation. If there's any questions, don't hesitate, and don't hesitate to email me questions down the road either.
Janet, thank you very much. I have one quick question here to ask. I'll try to make it quick. So I'm going to take myself as an example. I've had Scotties for 40 years now. And honestly, it wasn't really until we started the Health Trust Fund Data Bank project that I really came to understand, and I can't even believe I'm saying this, but I came to understand the importance of that pedigree. Um, and I, like many pet owners, companion owners, thought, why do I need to have my dog registered? Nobody had ever mentored me in that. And so now I totally get it. Um, so let's say I'm a, I'm a pet owner and I want to make sure that my dog gets into that database, but they are not registered. How do I go about crossing
Well,
the bridge?
they don't have to be registered if you know the person who bred your dog. You have a date of birth
Yep.
and a sire and a dam. We can put the dog in with a note under registration, U/R. unregistered.
Gotcha.
Because there's many dogs in the early 18 and 1900s that are in the database that need to be in the database, but they were unregistered. And there are many breeders who don't register the puppies they're going to sell because they don't want to be considered a puppy mill, which is
Right.
silly
Right.
if they're ethical breeders. Um, and because otherwise, how are we going to get the dog we want? It took me over 9 years to get a Scottie because back when I wanted a Scottie, it was all about, are you going to show? Are you going to be competition to me? What are you going to do? Are you going to try and take my position? They didn't want competition
Right.
earlier, the breeders. So things again have changed in that area as well. So in order to get your pedigrees in, and please, all pet owners, especially Scotties, send me your pedigrees. Send me what you have, even if you don't have a whole pedigree, because if you've got the breeder, the date of birth, and the sire, we may be able to find out who the dam was, or vice versa. And of course, DNA has helped. Just Wally is a perfect example because that dog was a rescue, and it was through DNA we were able to find its pedigree. So, yeah.
Great. Well, I think in closing, I just want to share a story with everyone who's going to be hearing this. Um, you know, I can't say enough how important it is to get your dogs in this database and in the Health Trust Fund DNA bank as well, because Wally's story is just a tiny example of what can happen in the future. And I know that all of you care. So let's find a way to get our dogs counted in every way. Thank you so much, Janet. And I apologize. I think I know why the technical glitch happened. Um, and we'll get that fixed for our next Zoomie. But your information that you presented today was phenomenal, and I know will only help, thrust us forward. The other thing I wanted just to share with everyone, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, the STCA posed a question, what has happened? Where have all the Scottish Terriers gone? And I was fortunate to be asked to participate in a ad hoc task force in which we constructed a survey for members to fill out. And I took that survey and we got over, I want to say close to 2,000 members or 2,000 people responded to the survey. And of those respondents, only 26% of them were members of the Scottish Terrier Club of America. The other 74% of them were companion owners across the globe. And what we found out from that survey is that people don't even, most Scotty owners don't even know that there are clubs available, both on the national level or on the regional level. So it was very, very insightful. And the DNA bank is actually one outcome of that survey that we started. So we've got the power to help our breed. So I challenge everyone to step forward and do what they can in any way that they can. And one of those ways is to contribute to donate your time as well as your cash, even if it's, you know, $10 a year or $25 a year or whatever, so that programs like this can be done and that additional efforts can be put in place to help us preserve this breed and improve it. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for this opportunity. And everybody, again, don't hesitate to send me your pedigrees or go to stca.biz and you can put it in yourself there. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. And we will have the glitch that caused this problem today with everybody being able to sign in fixed by by the next Zoomie, which I believe is in September. We'll get that information out to you very soon. So thank you all for attending, and for those who are going to be watching this online, thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye bye.